Hey, what's up, Simply Recipes crew? Nick Evans here from Machismo and the writer of the Eat Your Food column on Simply Recipes, and we are cooking live today. This is such an awesome recipe. I really love this recipe. It's one that I made a lot when we used to go to work, but now that everybody is staying home for work, it also might be helpful. It's basically like a quick little lunch jar. So I'm gonna show you how to make the base of the lunch jar, and then we can talk about all kinds of fun toppings that you can add to it to make it super easy. You keep them in your fridge and then you pop them open whenever you need it. Hello, hello. And also, yes, as always, say hi in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you have any questions about this, would love to answer them as well. So this is a super easy, quick recipe, and I hope all of you try it out, and I hope you're having a great day. Oh, you know what I should do? Hold on one second. I like to try to open up this on my computer too. It's a little easier to read people's comments on my laptop. And, ooh, okay, don't need to hear myself though. That is weird. Hello, hello, hello. Good. And let me just, let's see, lunch jars. There they are. So I'm gonna post in the comments the recipe that I wrote and am using sort of as like a base for this. Did that work? Yes, okay, cool. So that's kind of a starter idea for a lunch jar there in the comments. But you know, the whole idea here is that it's super flexible. So what I like to start with is some kind of grain. And the recipe that I wrote originally was barley. Today I used farro, which is another kind of like super hearty, high fiber grain. And I like to cook these in my Instapot. So if you have any kind of, woo, it hissed at me. If you have any kind of pressure cooker, this becomes super easy. So a grain like barley or farro cooks in like 10 minutes in this guy. So all I do is I add it to my Instant Pot, and I add water. So for a cup of farro, I will usually add about 2 cups of water, and then I put it on high pressure for 7 minutes. That's it, 7 minutes. And then you let the pressure sort of release, and what you're left with is this lovely, perfectly cooked farro. Now you could season this a little bit with salt if you wanted, salt and pepper. I keep it super simple because we're gonna add a lot of stuff to it. Now, when you make your jar, so I start with these jars. You could use the larger quart jars if you wanted. These are the pint jars. So 2 cups basically will go in here. And I just think this is a nice lunch size. If you wanted a little bit bigger one, that's totally fine, up to you. Yeah, so quart, these are, hold on. Yeah, these are pint, 2 cups, pint, right, yes. And so I have some stuff here that I like to put in these jars, but let's get started in the comments. If people have ideas for stuff you could add to these, I'm all ears. The one thing that I like to think about when making my jar is texture. So I like a lot of crunchy stuff, and I don't like stuff that will get like wilty throughout the day, because the idea is that you make these jars, you keep them in your fridge, and then you just grab one if you need a quick lunch. So I actually don't like to put like a lot of greens like lettuce or arugula, because those just kind of get wilty and gross if they're sitting in a jar for too long. So I like to stick with like heartier vegetables that stay super crispy and crunchy. So, when you're making your jar, you add some of your grain as like a base, right? And obviously you can customize these for however big you want them to be, but I usually like to add about maybe like a half a cup of my grain to the bottom. So see, that's like a good base for a salad, right? And then let's talk about some other stuff that I like. I need a knife. We'll definitely need a knife. I love fresh cucumbers, super crunchy, right? Julie says, I have no idea what I'm doing. That is the story of my life. But right now we're making lunch jars. So if you want to know how to make a lunch jar, this is for you. I hope people are having a good Tuesday. Last Tuesday, if you go back in the Simply Recipes feed, we made tacos and margaritas for Cinco de Mayo. That was super fun. So I'm going to add some cucumber slices here. Just kind of stick those in there. And then I have a few of these beautiful little cherry tomatoes that I got at, I think I got these at Whole Foods recently. It looked good to me, so I'm going to add those. And then I had a few strips of bacon left over, so I'm going to add these also, just for a little protein. The nice thing about these jars is you can use like leftovers that you have, you know, kind of just make it a good leftover use. And then I like these little sweet cherry peppers too. These have become really popular in the store. You get them in the bag and they're really crispy and delicious on salads. So I'll chop up a few of these. And my jar is full, so that means I'm done, right? I'm gonna add one more thing. I like a really crunchy like topping, so I'm gonna put some sunflower seeds in here too. It's kind of a fun little add, just like a tablespoon, not too many. So check that out. So I'm gonna put the lid on this so you can see. So, you know, if I'm making these, I'll make like 4 or 5 of them. Have different stuff in them, right? Maybe you could put cheese in them. You could put different veggies that you have. It's great for using up like little bits of, you know, leftover chicken or leftover salad mix if you have it. You toss it in a lunch jar with some grain on the bottom, and it's perfect for a quick lunch. You just store these in your fridge, and then when you're ready for lunch, it's good to go. So the only thing that I want to demo next is what to serve this with. And I like to keep it very simple. So I make a really simple homemade vinaigrette that I store in the fridge. And that's what I like to serve with these. So I do not recommend putting the dressing in the jar. The reason why is it'll just get kind of sad. It gets just kind of, I don't know, like all the veggies get a little soggy. It doesn't stay crisp and fresh. So I recommend doing the dressing separate and then adding it to the salad right as you're eating it, basically. So, you know, store it in a little Tupperware container, something like that. And so I'll show you how I make my vinaigrette. It is like not rocket science. It's not something I buy at the store that often because I find it very easy to make. But what I like to do is just take a shallot. This is like a really classic vinaigrette here. And the thing to remember about vinaigrettes is a good one will follow a 3-to-1 ratio. So 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. And that's gonna give you a really nice mix for your, is Janice talking about me? He looks like a younger version of my boss. I don't know your boss, but all right, I guess younger is better than older, right? Anyway, so that'll give you a really nice mix for a vinaigrette. 3-to-1 is your ratio there. So what I like to do is just slice up a little shallot. There we go. And to be honest, sometimes I eyeball this. Maybe I'll measure it today just to be very official. So you want about, I would say that's about a tablespoon, right? You want a really fine dice on your shallot there. Really fine dice, boom. There we go. So obviously 1 shallot would make a lot of vinaigrette. You can make like a whole bottle of vinaigrette with that, but you know, there's your start. And then I'll just add a little bit of, let's see, add some. I like to add a pinch of salt and pepper to mine. Give it some seasoning. Boom. And then here's the fun part is you can use kind of any vinegar that you have will work in a vinaigrette. You know, like red wine vinegar or sherry vinegar is really classic. I'm gonna use apple cider vinegar today because I had it and sounds good. I don't know. So again, normally I would eyeball this, but I'm gonna measure today for you lovely people. So if I do 1 tablespoon of vinegar, I'm gonna wanna do 3 tablespoons of oil. And it doesn't have to be exact, but you know, something like that. And so this is how you make a really fresh vinaigrette, and it's gonna taste better than any vinaigrette you find in the store because it has that fresh shallot flavor. Whisk it all together. Maybe give it a little taste. If you have a spoon. I think it needs, dressing is always like a taste and go thing, right? Let's see, how long will it last in the fridge? So the dressing will last a very long time in the fridge. This will last, you know, 2 weeks or so in the fridge. I think this needs a little extra pinch of salt and a little more vinegar. I think I added a little bit too much oil there. I'm gonna splash more vinegar. And you're just trying to balance, right? Like you want the right mix of fat and tangy and just trying to balance. Okay, try it again. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. That's right. You know when you get it right. It's like tangy. You can add a little bit of sugar to this if you want. Boom. Yes, we're making salad dressing. We're making a vinaigrette because we made earlier these cool lunch jars. So we're making the salad dressing for these lunch jars. We put some farro or barley in there, all kinds of veggies, and now we're gonna eat it. So yeah. So when it's time to eat this lunch, oh, maybe somebody was asking how long these last in the fridge. That could be it. Oh yeah, a little mustard always goes okay in vinaigrette. You can make it your own. This is about as simple as vinaigrette gets. Add some honey, mustard, whatever you want. This guy will last in the fridge, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 days, depending on what you add to it. So I wouldn't go longer than like 3 days probably. Then the veggies start to get a little wilty. But there you go. So when it's lunchtime, all you have to do is pour this in a bowl. Look at that. It's got some veggies. I chopped up some bacon in there. You can make it vegetarian, obviously, if you wanted to. And then you have your dressing. This is way more dressing than I need. You don't want to use this much dressing. You could also add you could add the dressing to the jar right before you eat it and like shake it up. That would work too. But I'm just gonna kind of drizzle. Beautiful. And this is like a really awesome little lunch bowl, right? You could get this at a deli and it would be like $10. It's got your grain, your veggies, protein, a nice little dressing. Some sunflower seeds I added in there. Delicious. The farro is really nice, actually. If you're not a fan of, if you've never tried this, farro is delicious. What a great grain. It's a good source of fiber. It's got a really nice chew to it. And it's very easy to cook, especially in an Instant Pot. So, boom, really good. Yum. Yeah, farro is delish. So, if you check out the post I wrote for this recipe, I listed like 20 different ideas too that you could add to these jars. Let me see if I can find that real fast. Just some ideas. So you could use, like, if you're a cheese fan, you could do some blue cheese, feta cheese. Those little mozzarella balls are really nice. Any marinated veggies, like marinated artichokes, olives, something like that. Blanched vegetables like broccoli, green beans, anything like that is great. Seeds or nuts, like we did sunflower seeds today, those are really good. And then you kind of toss it all up. Like I said, the thing I would avoid is stuff that will wilt. So you don't add like lettuce or arugula, just because it's gonna just lose its shine after a day or two in a jar. It's not gonna be that good. So avoid those, stay with really crunchy things, and you'll make really delicious lunches in a jar. Boom. As always, if you have any questions about this or any other recipe, you can hit me up. I'm at Machismo on Instagram. The Machismo Facebook page is pretty active. Or obviously, you know, talk with the Simply Recipes crew. They are awesome and they are super responsive. So you can hit them up at Simply Recipes on Facebook, on Instagram. We're everywhere. We are trying to make it easier for you to cook at home. So yeah, give it a shot. I hope you like these jars. Make some of them, keep them in your fridge. They're easy to grab and go lunch. If you're working from home, if you're working in an office, wherever, they're great to have on hand. So great use of leftovers, great lunch, and that's it. So I'll be back next Tuesday. I'm trying to do these once a week. I hope you guys like them. We are cooking live. I always pick a fun recipe and just try to make it real fast for you so you can see how easy it is to cook at home. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And check it out next Tuesday. I'll be back. All right. See you later.